Welcome to this screencast on note-taking in lectures and seminars. It will give you some hints and tips on how to take effective notes in lectures and seminars and show you some note-taking strategies that you might find useful. It is important to try out a number of strategies to find out which one works best for you. In order to take better notes, it is important to consider note-taking in 3 stages: before, during, and after the lecture. Before each lecture or seminar, have a look at Moodle to check which topic you will be learning next. You can also look in the module handbook if there is one available. And check which teaching week you are on in order to stay organised. Read any key readings to prepare for your lecture or seminar. Lecturers will sometimes set these in preparation for seminars. There might be a number of these, but you aren't expected to read them all fully. If you are ever unsure, check with your module tutor to see what is expected of you. At this point, you could also do some brief research on the upcoming topic by watching a YouTube video or searching online. It is also a good time to check if you have any work due for submission and print off or download any PowerPoints. That way, you can take notes alongside the slides in the lecture. Briefly look over the content and create any questions you want to ask. This could be questions you would like answering during the lecture or things you don't understand. This will make taking notes easier as you will already have an idea about the topic. It is important to find a note-taking system that works for you. In this screencast, we will look at 3 note-taking systems, but this slide gives you some general tips. Firstly, write the title of the lecture, date, page number, and tutor's name at the top of the first page. This will be helpful when you are preparing for assignments and exams, as you can easily flick through to find the information you are looking for. Take notes, but don't try to write everything down. For example, there is no point just copying out what is already on the slides. Bullet points can be helpful, ask and leaving a line between each point. This also means that you can go back and add bits after. Draw pictures or mind maps if you prefer, and use abbreviations. It is important to create your own system for this so that it makes sense to you when you look back at your notes. Use a highlighter for any words or points you don't understand. There might be course-specific jargon, which your lecturer should explain, so it's worth noting this down or even creating a glossary for yourself. Write down any questions you have. This could be things you don't understand or want to research further, or critical questions you have about the content. Finally, pay attention to signposting words and phrases, such as firstly, secondly, thirdly, to conclude or sum up, or assignment guidance. These signal that important points are coming up, so you should probably take notes. After a lecture or seminar, reread your notes as soon as possible whilst they are still fresh in your mind. This could also be a good time to rewrite your notes if necessary, and to fill in any gaps, or to try to find the answers to any of the questions you wrote down. You could do this by researching further or asking your tutor. It might also be a good time to incorporate notes from your readings, so you have one full set that has everything you need to know when revising for exams and assignments. Make sure you timetable this task into your weekly planner and put an alert on your phone to remind you to do this. Finally, make sure you have a good system for storing your notes. You could have colour-coded folders or different pads for each module. We are now going to look at some note-taking templates you might want to use when taking notes in lectures and seminars. There are lots of different note-taking methods, but we will focus on 3. They can all be done by hand or on the computer, and it's important you try out a range of strategies to decide which one works best for you. However, with whichever method you are using, make sure you record the date, module, and the tutor, which will make it more helpful when you need to go back to the notes at a later date. The first method is the Cornell note-taking system, and it's particularly useful as it can also be used for note-making from texts. Before the lecture, split your page, as shown here. The recall column goes on the left, the main notes section on the right, and a box at the bottom is left for a summary. During the lecture, record notes in the main column to the right-hand side. Make sure you leave a line between points and use bullet points to help you easily identify between different points. You can also use abbreviations or draw pictures on mind maps if you prefer. Use the recall column to jot down any keywords or questions. You should be able to cover up the main section and use the clues in the recall column to see what you remember about the topic. This can be particularly helpful when you are revising. Finally, go back to the summary column as soon as you can after the lecture or seminar so that the information is still fresh in your mind, and summarise the main points of the lecture in your own words. The next system is called the 4-quarter method. As shown here, divide your page into 4 sections. Each quarter represents a 15-minute slot for the lecture. So if it is a 2-hour lecture, you would just have another page with another 4 quarters. This method is useful because you are always sure of how far you are into the lecture. As space is limited with this method, it also forces you to be concise and only record key points. It is also really useful if you're recording your lecture, so you know roughly where to skip to in the recording to fill in any blanks or add points if you miss something. The next method is mind mapping. If you're a more visual person, you might find that mind mapping is a good note-taking method for you. In order to fit more information on the page, it's a good idea to turn your page landscape. The central theme or topic goes in the middle. If you use this method, you might create more than one mind map per lecture or seminar. Then, from the central theme, you draw branches and add in key ideas related to your theme. The use of different colours can be helpful for organising these ideas and also making your mind map more visually appealing. Mind maps can also be particularly helpful to condense your material. The final method we're going to look at is linear notes. This can help with the flow and structure of a lecture because you use headings and subheadings. It's also a good idea to use bullet points to separate your points. Again, use colour to distinguish between important points and highlight keywords or phrases you don't understand. For example, highlighting yellow for key points and highlighting green for any words or phrases you are unsure of. You now have the chance to practice your note-taking skills. Choose one of the methods and watch the clip. There are templates available for the Cornell note-taking system and the 4-quarter method. Press pause so you can complete the task and press play when you are ready to continue. Here is an example of notes taken on the clip you have just watched using the Cornell note-taking system. Don't worry if your notes don't look the same, as we all do it slightly differently. As you can see, I have my main notes where I ask questions and highlight keywords, my recall column where I've identified keywords, and finally my summary column where I've summed up my understanding of the clip in a couple of sentences. This shows a reference for the resource used in the screencast. Thank you for watching this screencast on note-taking in lectures and seminars. If you would like help taking notes from readings, please watch the screencast on reading and note-making. For further help, please see the contact details on screen now.